Hey music makers, it's Dean. Welcome back to the studio, and today we have something pretty epic. We're going to be looking at my 9-year GarageBand progress, starting all the way back in 2011 when I knew nothing about recording, up until the present day here in 2020 where I run a recording studio. I'm paid to produce songs, so without further ado, let's dive on in. So it all started back in 2011, where I had been playing instruments and writing songs for a few years now, but I really wanted to start recording, and so in that year I got my first Mac because I knew it had GarageBand on it. And I wasted no time. I began making songs immediately. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you my very first song in GarageBand. Roll that film.
Strike my heart with your love for me, God, your deep affection.
You know, we all gotta start somewhere, and that's where I started. But I didn't stop there. I kept making songs throughout 2011, and here's a song from later in that year.
I want to see you, your face, your glory, perfect in beauty, matchless in glory.
So looking back on 2011, I can chuckle a bit at some of those projects, but you know what? I'm not ashamed of any of them. I worked hard and I grew in my craft as a songwriter. And that would be my tip for you if you're just getting started. Don't focus on getting songs that sound perfect, but just focus on writing lots of song ideas and growing in the craft. So with that, we move into the year 2012, where I rediscovered that I have an acoustic guitar, and hey, I can make songs with it. I was also approaching 5 years of marriage, so I guess I was in a reflective mood and wrote a few songs for my wife.
You smiled back, I knew you would be the one. From the first time our eyes met, I knew it was destiny, 'cause God made us for each other, you see.
So I like this song. I think it was pretty cool, actually. So fast forward from that project a few months, and it dawned on me, hey, I could use my piano to make a song in GarageBand, and so I did.
You didn't know that I love you, and I'm so glad that you're mine. This journey's better with your hand in mine.
And hey, I think it's a pretty decent idea. The big learning tip for me in this year would have been, hey, did you know that there's actually a huge library of software instruments that you can add into your project, like the Steinway grand piano, which would sound a whole lot better than me cranking up my electric keyboard as loud as it'll possibly go, and then recording it into GarageBand using the computer's built-in microphone. So now it's time to hop back into the time machine and move forward to the years 2013 and 2014, where my primary focus was to write lots of songs and become a better songwriter. I wasn't focused on the production end, the mixing end. I had one aim, and that was to become the best songwriter that I could. So here's a song I was working on in that season.
God, you're speaking to me. Like thunder, my heart coming alive. I'm amazed over you. You bring me up.
In that season, I did make one important production discovery, and that was how to use auto-tune. And because I was too chicken to experiment on myself, I tested it out on my little girl.
Hello, is anyone out there? Hello, is anyone out there?
Oh, it's just so cute. So now we move forward into the year 2015, and this year was huge for me. I would consider it an explosive year musically. To start, I got my first set of real studio gear, which consisted of a decent microphone, an audio interface, and some budget headphones. Second, I got my first dedicated studio space, which in reality was my side of a his and her closet, which we cleaned out and made into my quote studio. But more than just getting some gear or a space, I just started taking this music making thing more seriously, which included getting some personal coaching lessons, which really stretched me. I also took some online courses on mixing, which really stretched me because I'm not a techie person. But more than anything, I just spent a lot of time in the saddle creating songs, producing songs, and mixing songs, and I saw some incredible growth in 2015. So as an example, do you remember that song I showed you from 2013? Well, I redid it in 2015, and you can hear the dramatic growth between the two songs.
A voice like thunder, my heart coming alive.
Your lips trim with grace and truth, same breath that made the stars speaks to my heart. Also in 2015, I entered my first songwriting contest. So I wrote the song, I recorded it at this church, I mixed it, produced it, and then submitted it, all of which was a massive stretch for me. And even though the song was far from perfect, I have to say 5 years later, I'm still really pleased with it.
And now we've got a place to call home. Yeah, baby, you and me, we've been learning what love really looks like. It's my life laid out for yours. We've been learning how even when we fall, we get strong.
But the 2015 explosion didn't end there. It kept going because I started learning how to use loops and software instruments to create electronic music. I created a ton of electronic ideas in 2015, including this one where I collaborated with my good friend Karen.
Days are growing dark, time is running short now. Dawn is in the break. Oh, we'll see him riding on the clouds, glory all around him. Are you ready for that day?
We recorded most of the vocals for the song in the children's classroom, but what we didn't finish, Karen actually recorded at her house in her kitchen using GarageBand. So we'll finally jump into the time machine and move forward to 2016, where one of the biggest highlights was that I started producing music for clients, where I would help them take their initial song idea like this,
Open up your hands, throw away your plans.
and turn it into a fully produced, release-ready song like this.
Open up your hands, throw away your plans. It's time.
So we jump straight into 2017, where I'm not going to show any song examples because there are a lot of big highlights in and around a studio. The first big highlight being that I got my first official studio space, which was a mother-in-law suite behind my house, which we transformed into my official recording studio, where I not only recorded for clients, but I also started hosting classes on songwriting and of course on how to use GarageBand to record and release your own music. And then I extended that training online through this YouTube YouTube channel, which started in 2017, along with publishing my first course on how to use GarageBand. So on that exciting note, we jumped straight into 2018, and so it was time for another first. And that first was me preparing a set of original songs to release publicly for the first time in my life. I had produced and published music for others, but now it was my turn to release music officially. And so in 2018, I released these two singles.
Save me, raise me, put my feet on solid ground, be my shelter, put a new song in my mouth, put a new song in my mouth, put a new song in my mouth. Tidal wave crashes over me. I will lift my voice to sing and to declare, when I'm weak and you're strong and your strength is my song, and everything that comes against me cannot match your mighty.
Another amazing thing that happened in 2018 was the studio's first official album release party, where students from my local program shared and performed the songs that they had created in GarageBand. So we'll jump back into the time machine and move forward to 2019, which was another big learning year for me. You see, I'd made a lot of different songs for a lot of different people and a lot of different genres, and I was still trying to hone in on my signature sound. And I knew my sound was some blend of worship and pop with retro vibes, but what I wrote never really lined up with what I was hearing in my head. But that all changed in 2019 when I began to hone in on my signature sound, which I call presence pop. So in 2019, I didn't release any songs, but I created tons of song ideas, and I had a blast doing it because I was making songs that finally felt like me.
And maybe we could just talk about old things and never wanted to seem half about. I've been waiting these hours. I've been waiting these hours. I've been waiting these hours. I'm waking on my love, love. 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 He's my rock and he is my defense. I will not be moved. It's my soul ways. You alone. You make it a face. You make it in my life. And know in a case. Even the going.
So now for our final ride in the time machine, where we come to 2020. And after spending lots of time creating songs and honing in on my sound in 2019, 2020 was now the time to complete and finish songs and actually share and publish them for others to hear. So I launched the Presence Pop YouTube channel and released 3 singles with a message and a sound that I am truly passionate about.
There's something beautiful about you. I built a wall, but then you broke through. There's something wonderful about you. You took my sin and made me brand new. Jesus Christ, the Son of God. You're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. The Lamb of God, the Lord Most High.
this 9-year journey video, and I hope it has served as a huge encouragement, as a huge inspiration to those of you who are making music in your bedroom and using GarageBand. I want to let you know that I have GarageBand courses to help you grow in mastering GarageBand so that you can make amazing music from home. So as usual, thanks so much for joining me in the studio today. This has been Dean, and I'll catch you in another video.